This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, February 27th, 2018, episode 163. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Joining me as he does each and every week with a new picture on the wall, Mr. Brian Aldridge. Yes. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Doing very well. And that's actually one you haven't seen yet, because that's my wife's variation. Remember, we had two of the same picture. She did one and I did one.
Yes.
So that is her variation. So yeah, it's a new one. All right. If you want to find me on the internet at Boise Computer, or of course you can go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. And as I always say, just go to our website, infectionpodcast.com, and join our Discord group. We've had a lot of people, even when we're not on the air, coming in and subscribing to the channel and just really helping to support the show. And you'll get notifications of those things and see alerts, and you can give hints of news that you want to see if you just join our Discord group. And that's on the right hand side. So the little green button that says join server, you click that. It's a free program, has an excellent phone app, a web-based. You can have it to where it actually runs in a browser if you'd like, or a desktop app that minimizes right to the lower right hand corner and works pretty lightweight. You'll have issues sometimes it disconnects, but I've never had issues where it's just sitting there and eating resources up. So pretty good app. And of course, Discord is free. And when we do game of the week and we start the show, we'll do notifications in there, and we'll all communicate inside of Discord. So if you listen to the show and you've ever been interested to maybe join us throughout the week, playing some of the games that we talk about, or just kind of getting involved with the group, just join the Discord and say hello once you get in here. And we have people join all the time, and it's a lot of fun. So also, do we want to, I think we had, I don't know if we had some subscriptions since the last one. We've had subscriptions, but I'd have to look and see if we had any since last show.
I don't believe, I was just looking at the before.
We have people that follow us too, which is funny. We have people that follow us. I think they watch our, we had it for like a week where we were locking down the replays on Twitch for, unless you're a subscriber. And I turned that off just because I think that's a good way that people find us. And we have people actually that follow us throughout the week because they're watching those replays. So
looking at the list, I don't believe we haven't, I don't believe we've had any new subscribers since last week's program. Yeah. Now, one of the cool things that we talked about was our emotes, and those emotes are now live. So if you are a subscriber of the channel inside of Twitch, if you click on the little emote guy in the right hand corner of the chat next to the bit button, you will see our custom emotes, which are of course our good friend Mr. Brian Aldridge, who's been memeified into he wasn't memeified into the doc, he was literally the doc, and then he was memed into a cowboy and a detective. So yes, those are now live, and you can now throw them in the chat.
You don't have, so Nick is the only one that can do two of those, unless you subscribe with the $4.99 or the $9.99 tier.
Wow.
So let me just show you a sample. See, if I do that, it will do the code instead. So for people, if they want access to the other ones, they do have a higher tier. But for now, we have the investigator. What is it? I don't remember what we call him. Detective Brian. So that's the official one for the initial tier of the subscription. So if we ever get to a area where we're partnered, then we would have access to however many. We have a list that we can unlock.
Gotcha. So yep, you can support the program that way by subscribing on Twitch, either via Twitch Prime or a regular, or Amazon Twitch Prime, whatever they call that service, or just a regular Amazon, a regular Twitch subscription, which you could do. All of those, you can do those infectionpodcast.com. You head on over there, click the Twitch icon, or go to twitch.tv/infectionpodcast. Subscribe there, and then a couple of the other ways you can support the program, but we'll get into those when we do our game giveaway. We'll talk about some of those things. So thanks to everybody that subscribed. I believe, looking at this right now, we have 16 subscribers rather. So in 2 weeks, 16 subscribers. I think this is the and there we go. Our good friend Brock Vaughn subscribing. So 17 subscribers now. And that's in, this is the second week, I believe, the third week, maybe. I think this is the third week.
I think it's the second week of it. No, I thought it was the second.
Oh, okay. Well, then the second week of having this program. So, you can subscribe there, and it also links you if you have your Twitch link to your Discord. It puts you in a special group inside of Discord, which is really cool as well. So, thanks to everybody that's supporting the program. As always, we appreciate your support. All right. I feel like it's been a year since we last spoke, Brian. Honest to God, the last 7 days have just been very, very chaotic in a good way. I was up in Washington D.C. Thanks, our good friend UGX Vibe or Bob, as you may know him in Discord. Thank you for the subscription there. Was up in D.C. for a conference Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Got back down here to Wilmington Sunday, and we moved to new office space. So Sunday night, Monday morning rather, we were there till about 3 o'clock in the morning demoing sheetrock. And Monday during the day, we moved equipment over, built an entire radio studio last night, and it was on the air this morning, and then I moved all of my stuff over this afternoon. It has been a crazy, about, I guess, 6 days at this point. So I literally feel like we have not talked in like a couple months. I mean, there is so much has happened here in
now. So everything with the office move went good and everything. I mean, it's fairly smooth.
Great space. It's almost 1,800 square feet. It's great. And thank you, Supa, for the cheers there. I don't know why those aren't popping up on
101 bits.
I don't know why those aren't popping up on the
last week or whenever that first one we got, it seemed like it popped up something.
I'll verify that those will pop up. So yeah, it's been a crazy week in my world. I've been totally disconnected. I posted in Discord this afternoon for the first time in 7 days, I believe. I said hello, and I mean, I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't on Skype. I haven't even looked at my emails in the past 7 days. It's been just so chaotic. That's what's been going on. So what's going on with you? What's up with the community?
It's been going good. People have been playing games. For me, I haven't been playing games for the last couple of weeks just because I was telling you before about my school. Like I have a thing where I was been wanting to finish a class, and so I gave myself a 2-week window to pass a 3-credit class. And so I started that. It's coming up on 2 weeks ago on Thursday, because I think on Thursday was my first day of starting that class. 2 weeks ago, and I finished the reading for it today. So it was 34 chapters of a textbook, and then been kind of studying to take the practice test this afternoon after we end the show, and then I will take the real test tomorrow, and hopefully I'll pass that class. So it's like I told myself I'm not playing, other than like I did game of the week, but I haven't been playing games just during any kind of normal time for the last 2 weeks, other than I play a little bit of Call of Duty before I go to bed, and I've been playing some of another little game before I go to bed. But that's like at the very end, just as I'm sitting on on the couch, because I still sleep on the couch, not because my wife's angry at me. Well, because of my shoulder.
That's what you think.
She keeps asking me. She's like, "When are you gonna come and sleep in the bed?" I'm like, I can't put my arm up in the air in bed.
Yeah.
But it's getting to the point where I'm pretty close. Like I can put my arm behind my back.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
And so once I get it to where I can put my arm on my pillow, which is how my comfort area, then I'll go sleep in the bed.
Oh, there you go. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. The simple things that most people do,
that people take for granted
every night, you are unable to do at this point. So, speaking of game of the week, how was your tax day inside of GTA?
It was good. I had a lot of fun. There was 3 of us. So
Okay.
Sean, Joe, and we all played, and we did missions.
Nice.
We didn't really do like races or anything like that. We did missions and earned some in-game cash that way.
Nice.
And it was a lot of fun. I've never really played the online part of GTA other than when we have done our game of the week, which is pretty much just we do races and things like that.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's just where like I know that there's all this money you can get. I've seen people stream it, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with the online. I just haven't. So it was nice to get in there and kind of see how the game is supposed to run and how you can earn cash and start trying to get the apartment and all the different things you can buy in there. So I just this is during my 2 week period, so I haven't gone in there and tried to continue it because I was like, once you get going on that, you want to play all day, and then I won't get my school done. So I've been good.
Well, there you go. So
I'll try once my class is done here. I'll definitely try it because I've got I think $600,000 in there.
Oh, you poor soul! $600,000.
Yeah,
that'll be gone in a car or an apartment real quick. That will very quickly.
So I've got something to spend it on, or I'll be like, oh, I have to get $1 million and I have to grind a little bit. So it'll be fun though once I get to the point of
absolutely
back in there.
GTA is one of those games that you can play whenever, and it holds up pretty well, and clearly people we've always had a great time playing it. So coming up this week is a game that's a little bit maybe out of our realm in terms of, I wouldn't classify it as survival, but it's a game that our community has been playing a lot, and a couple of people have been playing it a little more hardcore, but I think we've all jumped in on it a couple of times, and that is League of Legends, which is obviously not survival, but it's a free game. And as we've kind of stated in the past, and I will say again, the game of the week playing the game is great, but it's also getting the community together, which is, in my opinion, probably more important than actually playing the game itself. So Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, in our Discord, we're going to be playing some LOL. Hopefully we've got enough to do either a 4v4 or a 5v5. I think that'll be a really good time.
Can get Saul to run that or something.
Yeah, Saul or Green Man, who are kind of those guys are kind of they're the ones running it in our group. So hopefully they'll be on opposite teams and they'll be able to go back and forth at each other. So that'll be fun. That'll be Friday night in our Discord. It's free. It's League of Legends. If you've never played it before, you should definitely jump into. If you're going to play for Game of the Week, jump in and at least watch some YouTube videos on how to play it. Just knowing how to play a little bit will go a very long way. So we'll do that Friday night. So again, it's free. All you have to do is download the Riot
it's
launcher.
An external launcher.
Yep. It's not on Steam.
Make sure you download that. How big is it? Like 40 gigs?
It's big. It's probably 30 or 40 gigs. But you download it. It's free. You got to create a Riot account. It's separate from Steam. It's not linked to anything, and it's free. But definitely watch some YouTube videos before, and just a basic 10 or 12-minute video on what the commands are and all that stuff. Because it will be very very beneficial.
There's a few things like I played Vainglory a lot, which is a MOBA as well, and they now have a 5 versus 5 mode, which is very much like League of Legends, but on a tablet. And so, like, I understand the whole thing, but there were some things particular to this game, like how to lock your camera, that I didn't know until after my first game. And so I was dragging my camera everywhere because it wasn't following my character. Just little things like that. You can kind of get to where you play in one match, see that everything works, how you buy things from the vendor, and just how to just use the keys a little bit. After that initial one, I think it'll flow for everybody, but just get in there and make sure you play a game before Game of the Week, just so that you have a little bit of experience, so people aren't waiting for you to try to figure out how to get it going.
Yeah, this is a game where you kind of want to have some bearing beforehand. There's a couple games. Yeah, it's one of those games where you want to have a little grasp of what you're doing before you play. And I think most people have played League at some point or another. And Saul's reminding me, coming up Saturday, we've typically been doing either a Saturday night board game night. We played Cards Against Humanity a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was probably last Saturday, I think, is when we played some Cards Against Humanity. We had a good time, and he's got a couple new games that we're going to test out. So Friday night's going to be League. Sometimes Saturday afternoon, evening-ish is typically when that starts for board games. And we play with Tabletop Simulator, which you can get on Steam or in the Humble Bundle store if you want to purchase through our affiliate code on infectionpodcast.com/support. So I'm sure we'll have a good time Friday night. I'm sure there will be many of rages. I'm probably going to be very pissed off and upset and probably close the game. So we'll have that Friday night and then some regular board game stuff going on Saturday and probably into Sunday as well. So,
and right now, Tabletop Simulator is $19.99 on both Steam and on Humble Bundle. I have the Humble Bundle rewards, which gives me more of a discount. But yeah, so if you're going to do it, if through those two options, as Nick said, I encourage you to do our Humble Bundle and just make sure you click our link before you do it, and then we can get a little kickback from you supporting the Humble Bundle and also supporting us.
Absolutely, and as always, we appreciate everybody that supports the program here. Now, Brian, I'm gonna have to confess right up front here, Brian. I have really not looked at the notes at all. I skimmed through them right before we went on the air. It's been a crazy couple days here. But looking at the notes, I mean, what's going on? Is everybody asleep? We're a little light on updates from some of our big players who normally are coming through.
So let's go ahead and let's hit ARC here really quick.
Okay.
I mean, and this will be really quick. So 278.46 is the update that was put out this week for ARC. And the update comprises of UI optimizations. That was on February 22nd. And that is the change log for the week for ARC.
And this is Infection, the survival podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We will we'll see you next Tuesday at 7.
So that's pretty much it for ARC. I know that they are doing that update that's supposed to be hitting here pretty soon. As far as, we're just doing a little bit of TLC on some of the other dinosaurs that are in there, but that's it for this week. They've been light ever since. I mean, they put out a few big ones, but it's not been consistent every week of doing patches all the time. I think they're just kind of working on right now, improving all the dinosaurs and making the graphics, things that they came up with early in the development, some of their first dinosaurs that haven't changed at all for now, a couple of years. They came out with them, and I think they've changed the art style a little bit. They've improved, and you have people that are able to take a little more time, make them in a little bit more proper way. And so they're going through and kind of revamping that. But as far as major gameplay elements, we're not seeing that anymore. So I don't know how much this will go into the future. Once they have more of that TLC done, I don't know what they're going to be doing, if they're going to move on, or, I mean, I haven't really seen any big things that they've announced or anything that's changing so far.
Well, and just kind of a reminder, maybe you are maybe you're in and out of the program. Maybe you don't follow all this stuff as closely as we do, but ARC is out of early access. This happened a couple of months ago, right before, when is it, November? Right before Christmas?
Yeah,
I think something like that. Maybe October, November.
It was supposed to be in October, and then they delayed it a couple months.
It was like late December, right? Or excuse me, late November.
Yeah.
So it was sometime
late November, early December. I don't remember exactly when.
So right around that realm. So they are out of early access now, which, from what I've been saying now for weeks, if not months, doesn't mean a damn thing. It's just a word. Yep. It's a buzzword. Like, it doesn't mean anything. We're out of early access, though. We still do the same updates as we did in early access, but we're out of early access. They are doing that big TLC thing. And after that, do you think sooner rather than later, Brian, we're going to have to find something to replace ARC to talk about? I mean, realistically, what more can they continue to do?
Well, I think they're going to be doing one more mod or one more expansion. And I'm sure that's what they're going on right now. I mean, we're not hearing a thing from them because I think that they are now just focusing on getting this last expansion out. I'm not sure the exact date that's going to be, but there will be a point once that's released, then it'll be like, okay, well, what now? Like, that'll be the end of the franchise as far as new content and things, big changes happening. I don't know if then they're going to go into a mode where they're just releasing bug fixes, maybe, because you have the whole mod store.
Yes, you do.
And so people can continue changing the game how they want, but that won't change the official servers. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where the game goes once those official servers kind of go on cruise control at that point and just continue to exist.
Well, and here's my next question. So what's the name of the company that's developing Ark? It's not Epic Games. Wildcard. It looks kind of like the Epic logo a little bit. Wildcard. This was, from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, the first. Oh, thank you, Locklore, for the cheer there.
Thanks, Locklore.
This was their first big game. Is that correct? Or this was their first game, I think, in general. I'm trying to remember back exactly, but this studio was this was a nobody studio previous to Ark. Yeah. They've got an incredible amount of talent. They've got a great user base, and now they've got a reputation of, we've taken a game from nothing to through the mud in early access, like with a million. Look at all these other games that failed. I mean, we could point to 100 of them right now, and we succeeded, and we're out on the other side. At what point do these companies? Because I mean, you look at a company like Activision and Blizzard, and you release a game, you're good. You move on to your next one, and your reputation kind of funnels into the next game, the next IP, the next whatever. So eventually, these we're seeing it with Rust now. Gary's working on another new game with some of the Rust people. We talked about Shadowfrax show. We showed that video probably 2 months ago of a new game.
Is it Moss?
I think it's called Moss. I think it is called Moss. But
they changed the name. It was something else before, and then they changed it recently, and I think it was to Moss
potentially. But he's taking his reputation with Gary's Mod, Rust, and now creating a new thing. And Wildcard's got
possibly trying to fix his reputation a little bit with this next one.
Reputation. I mean, you talk about success. I mean, both Gary's Mod and Rust, you could argue are in the top 20 successful. Gary's Mod definitely is in the top 5 successful Steam games. Everybody owns it. Everybody's played it. It's been out forever. You can make the argument that Rust is in the top 10 or top 20. So at what point do you now see Wildcard, who has got a successful title under their hands, say, okay, here's our next thing, and trust us? Because
it's only a 4-year-old company too. You got to think they were founded in 2014. It's 2018. So they were founded not too long before we started the show.
Yes.
So all the success that you see with Wildcard,
look at what they've done, and look at what we've done. It's good. We're parallel success here. We've done a podcast. Yes. They've built a multi-million-dollar game franchise.
Company,
I mean, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, we've interviewed them, so it's practically like beating them, right?
Yeah, we are Wildcard.
Yes, and so you got to think all the stuff they've done in that amount of time, and so people are, it took them 4 years to develop the game into the point of where I think feel comfortable with it, feeling like it's done. They've got to be thinking next, though, as you're saying. There's got to be and they seem to be hinting at. I keep seeing them hitting at VR stuff and doing like the dinosaur park and like Ark Park, I think they call it. I know they're kind of playing with some of those things, but VR is not really a thing that you stake your whole company on. I don't think right now you're just not going to get enough sales to maintain it, but they've got to be, and it may not be dinosaurs. I would assume that they'd move on from dinosaurs and go into something different, because they've got the people that are modelers, and they got to do it while they still have all these people on staff.
Bingo.
Right?
Yeah, that's it.
Because there's going to be a point if they're no longer developing. Right now, the push is for this expansion to come out, so they have their modelers busy and they have them doing things, and like everybody who's a part of the company is doing something for this expansion. As soon as that expansion's out, either you're going to be letting a bunch of them go, which I don't assume that's not the goal of what they're wanting to do, or you say, all right, now we're going to roll over into another project. We'll keep some of your time possibly for fixing issues for some of them on past projects, but to keep you all hired, now we're moving on, and our next title is and then they start working on that, because that will allow them. Because if they don't, like, you can't just keep people sitting around. You don't keep people that make 3D models sitting in the office and say, we'll just play around and make stuff all day.
Well,
there's got to be a purpose.
Well, the big concern is headhunting. I mean, we've seen Smedley now, who is in charge of Amazon's game studio down in they're in San Diego or LA. I don't remember. I think it's San Diego.
San Diego.
And maybe he's not the best example because he's taking a lot of the old Daybreak employees, which I wouldn't necessarily classify as headhunting because he already had a relationship with them. But I mean, you see these good modelers, good animators, good whatevers get kind of, and you've got a company like Amazon who's got, for all intents and purposes, unlimited money. I mean, they could pay somebody $70,000 a year to literally sit at a desk and do a nothing, and it wouldn't matter. And that's kind of I would think the concern, if they don't have something on the back burner, is, ARC is over with. People are going to start updating their LinkedIn, their resumes, and you're going to have a big company like Amazon or whoever come and say, okay, yeah.
Well, Wildcard's an excellent right now, because of the reputation they built. Is an excellent thing to have on your resume. And so they have all these guys that now have a resume that people would die for.
Yeah.
And you could say, hey, I was a modeler for ARC, and here's some of the models that I made. And you have just top tier. I mean, these are top tier models that you see of, like, the dinosaurs, for instance, in ARC. You just show that, and then you would have the top studios ready to hire you. And so they can't sit here and say, all right, well, we're going to take a 6-month break.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those guys will just move on. They have to have something, and I'm sure they do. If not, then, I mean, I don't know what the point would be. I just can't imagine them letting that go. Like, they wouldn't be able to bring that back and have a guarantee of the group that they have now. Because I think they have a good group of people that are able to put out, we saw consistent updates, consistent quality for 4 years. We had, stuff that's really tough to get in a group of people, they were able to pull out. And so I think with them, they definitely aren't going to let that just go. Because if they just sit, and it'll be interesting to see what they do next. Like, I haven't heard a word about it, but they're really good at being tight-lipped. I don't know if they have really good NDAs there, really good lawyers that scare them to death, because you don't hear anything until some of these things are released. Like, we had things that were released, and Nick and I are sitting here like, are they doing anything right now? And then the next week, like, they announced some huge thing that's 90% done.
Yeah, well, that's the key.
So they do a really good job,
and that's the key right there. 90% done. So they've got an incredible amount of talent, and they can, they've got the scars that they got through the early access program to prove that, hey, we're a legitimate development company. You're going to take us seriously here. So that's ARC, and I would imagine here in the next couple of months we've got to hear some type of announcement of something.
Either for the new expansion or another title that's going to be after the expansion.
Exactly.
But they want to build up some of that hype too. But they're the kinds that like to just say, "Hey, here's this, and here's an awesome trailer, and and it's almost done." They're the kind of guys that like to throw that out there.
Exactly.
And so for them, they may do that to us. Now, I was going to mention something here since you kind of mentioned it.
Okay.
Some of the people like at Daybreak have been leaving and going to this new competitive online gaming thing that they have now, with Twin Galaxies.
Yeah, a couple of them.
And so they had another person just left this past week to go for them. I know a couple of Daybreak employees have quit Daybreak, and they're now actually working for the competitive gaming group. So
there's
that seems to be a new thing that's happening over there.
I don't remember her name. We follow her on Twitter. She worked for Daybreak. She was she wasn't the community manager, but she worked with Greg. And she was on video a couple of times. I know she went over there a couple months ago. And then now another. That is very interesting to see. It's got to be an indicator. Oh, absolutely. They're absolutely jumping ship.
I think for them, there's people that have moved over that work for the company, and they're doing a Smedley. It seems like Daybreak has this happen to them quite a bit. People are looking at what's happening. People with Just Survive, what is now Just Survive, we're seeing that the ship was sinking, and Smedley, they could go to Smedley and say, hey, maybe there are people that Smedley knew were good at their jobs in a bad company, but good at their jobs. And so he pulled all the good talent from Daybreak. And now I think you're getting the same thing with this other, these are mostly people that are marketing. They're not really programmers and things like that, but they're pulling people that are friends of probably someone who's now has a higher up position at that company.
Yeah.
And so he's bringing all the people that are good people over to the other company. And it's just, people are jumping ship on Just Survive they have for a while on that one, and H1Z1. We have a thing here. I don't know if you want to jump into this. There was a tweet that was sent out this past week by, you probably know him as Pineapples. Echo Fox Pine is what, he plays for Echo Fox, but he put out a thing for the future of his stream. He put out a note.
Okay.
And it's one of those long tweets, the messages that they put out.
Yes.
Twit long. Yeah. Twit longer. I don't know if you want me just to kind of skim some of this about what he's saying, but
yeah, absolutely.
Discuss a little bit of the
reactions. I actually did have a chance to read through this. Yeah, this is interesting.
Okay. So he's talking, he's one of the guys who's held on to H1Z1. A lot of the streamers have already left H1Z1. But he kept on streaming it on a regular basis on his stream, even though the numbers have dropped out. People are not interested in watching people stream H1Z1 anymore. But he says on here, this hasn't been an easy topic. But H1Z1 has been his pride and joy for the last few years. It's something he's played consistently, day in and day out, on stream, casually and professionally. He's invested into the game with his friends, teammates on Echo Fox, who he continues to practice with every day. He's excited to move forward with the H1PL, which is the league that we've been discussing, yep, and whatever else may come our way. However, there's a thorn on my side that makes it hard to fully enjoy the state of the game. I feel like H1Z1 is going in the right direction, and the patches improvements have been solid, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the Twitch viewership has declined dramatically over the past 6 months. It's no longer a healthy viewer game, and it is consistently around 1,000 to 2,000 viewers daily. And he's talking about all Twitch-wide, like the people watching. That's other than when the doc will go in there and stream it, and people aren't watching it because he's playing H1Z1. They're just following, they're just watching him. But that's an anomaly in it. With that being said, I think it's time to shift my focus for a more long-term success plan. I'll be moving to make my game on stream to be Fortnite. He said, "What does this mean to you?" So he's transitioning from being a regular H1Z1 player to move to Fortnite, which has the healthy viewer base. People like watching. Fortnite has a nice balance of people can build, like there's other stuff to keep the screen busy. It's not a running simulator. Like a streamer can do all these things and look like they're being busy and not just running from location to location. And so it's a much easier game to stream. He says, "Are you going to be streaming it H1Z1 outside of CC?" And that's closed competition, right? Yes, on occasion. That's Colada Coliseum, games. So they'll have that weekly where you can play those. He's going to continue to play it professionally. And he says he hopes that the game becomes successful again, but for now he's going to be streaming Fortnite. So, and then just looking through the responses that he has gotten on Twitter, like all these streamers have just been like, can't wait to play with it. Like everybody's already left him. He's like that last guy who wants to get off the boat.
Yeah.
He was holding on, but it's just, he's going to kill his streaming base. Like people just have no interest in watching it unless they are in it for the personality. But I think a lot of these professional players, people are in it because they enjoy seeing them get these crazy kills. When you have a game that has so many hackers and you're dying, not because you're not good, but because, how can you beat a computer? Right?
Yeah, literally.
Literally. And so that's the thing is you got to go to a game where it's talent matters again. And right now, Fortnite is a game to when you have a person who's the beginning level versus a person who's extremely good at the game. Like Myth, there's a huge gap. There's that skill gap that I've talked about over, the last couple months. H1Z1 doesn't really have a skill gap anymore. There's randomness in the shots, and someone who's not really playing that much of the game can very sometimes easily kill a person who's not, or who plays all the time and is professional level. With Fortnite, there's all these measures you can put in and protection. Like there's things that they can do that stop those instant kills that just seem to happen in these other games. So I think there's a lot more of that player skill gap to where the real excellent players actually do seem different than the other ones. And so people they will go to those people and watch them because they want to see all that stuff happen, which I just think stopped happening on H1Z1. It's as you said, it's not a healthy game. The player base isn't healthy. People don't want to watch it anymore. I just think, personally, I think it's on its last breath. So I know they're continuing to put out updates, but they're never going to get those player numbers back. And it's like what we said with Ark. At what point, can you keep all these people on staff? Whether you got people making skins, but if no one's buying the skins, there's no point in keeping them hired anymore. If the programmers, if you're not making enough sales to continue to hire the programmers, like they're going to have to keep cutting back until, is the game going to then develop anymore? Well, and I think that they're getting to that point of like, there's a question of whether they can continue for however much longer. They'll run out of funds.
Well, I don't know necessarily if they'll run out of money because they aren't that.
Well, they don't have any other big titles anymore.
Well, yeah, but they've got to
bring in big sums of money.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their financials are, but clearly money is not an issue because they have a whole bunch of people employed that, with my 2 cents, do nothing. So I don't believe money is a problem.
But that's going to bleed them dry from this point on.
Well, that's fine.
Now the money's not coming in.
Yeah, well, so this actually segues perfectly into an article that Green Man posted in Discord earlier this week, talking about how H1Z1 has fallen on hard times, and this guy goes through and just brings up a couple facts here. Since its peak player base in June of 2017, which was 150,402, that was the all-time peak, it has shredded 91% of its player base since then. And over the past 30 days, we've talked about in this program, the peak is 17,652 over the last 30 days. This shy of 18,000. And those numbers are fascinating. And it does really make you wonder. We've been saying it for months, if not years. What do you do? What's next? Why? How much longer? It's tough because obviously, the easy answer, the easy thing is, just cancel the game and get rid of it, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, really, all joking aside, I know everybody loves to hate on H1Z1. I get it. But at what point really do you say, okay, from a business sense, business-wise, this does not make any sense. And when your 30-day player peak for your main game, not the side game that you don't update, the main game, the all-star, the superstar game is less than 18,000, I've got to think the clock is ticking. I'm not saying it should happen today because you have 18,000 people playing the game. That's still a good player base. I'm not saying that, but the clock's got to be ticking internally for if we don't get these numbers up by X date, and we've got to do something here. Business-wise, I think it has to, right?
But the thing too is they've really shot themselves in the foot with it. I mean, I've talked about this now, but the engine, they're at a point now where what's the point of starting any new titles, right? You don't want to start a new title on an engine that's so out of date and just so broken. They're really in a tough spot of, will they still consider themselves Daybreak if they're going to start with a new engine? But I don't think they can create any new titles now. Like they're so far behind. 3 years ago, they could get away with it. I think that was the last breath. H1Z1 was kind of the last breath of you could do that. Graphics wise, in those 3 years, things have really changed in the world of game development. The smallest game developers are using things like Unreal Engine and putting out something that visually looks a lot better than H1Z1, just with small groups of 5 people. And so they can't do that anymore. They won't be able to put out a game that looks or performs anything like these new games if they don't change their engine, and they won't have the money to go and build a new engine. That seems to be their thing. They always want to make their own engine, but they got to move beyond that if they're expecting to actually do something in the future.
So I have matured business wise. In my opinion, has changed due to my current role in the leadership in my company, which is part of the reason that I moved halfway across the country to take a job, was the leadership and the people I'd be working with. Daybreak has got a chronic issue that we deal with in the radio industry, which is this is how we do it. For people that aren't familiar, radio has been around for literally 100 years. There are practices that radio stations have been following for hundreds of years because, quote, that's the way we do it. I'm constantly challenged by my boss in a good way. When I say challenge, I mean that in a good way. Challenged to, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Oh, and a couple of answers have been, well, that's how it's been done. And he said to me, that's not an acceptable answer. That's how you fall into this, and that's what Daybreak's problem is. They have my reaction. And let me tell you this, because I want to make my point. A year ago, my answer would have been, well, they've invested all this money into the engine. And this was my point. I've said this many of times on the show, and I know you've disagreed with me every time, Brian. My answer has been, well, they've invested, however, not just the money to build the engine, but the R&D behind it and paying the staff to develop it, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars overall. That was my argument. Now, as I've matured business-wise, it's great. They already lost you could say lost the million in building the engine, but now think about how much more they've lost because they've been so set in their freaking ways that they're unwilling to change. They're unwilling to challenge themselves. There is nobody that has developed. There's no reason to develop your own engine for most people in 2018. Now, when EverQuest came out,
unless you're a AAA studio that does this, but
they do it because they have the need to, and they have the resources to do it. I mean, when SOE who made EverQuest? What was it before SOE?
It was Sony Online.
It was Sony Online. Okay.
No, it was Sony Online.
So when they built the EverQuest engine, I mean, there wasn't all of these there wasn't all of these options out there. There was a lot of people developing their own physics and all this other stuff. That was what you did at that time in the early 2000s or late 90s, whatever. But things have changed. I mean, I can load up a freaking engine editor right now and have a player walking around in 15 minutes if I know what I'm doing. Even if I don't know what I'm doing.
Which is a lot of what the original H1Z1 concept was. It was just a guy running around.
Pretty much. So
now, Stairway pointed out something here.
Okay.
And this is something fairly recent. On Daybreak's career page, they are now looking for UE4 engine and tool programmer.
Yeah, I saw that.
For unannounced project. So the new unannounced project has got to be an Unreal.
Of course, it's got to be an Unreal, Brian.
I mean, I've been saying it. It's impossible for them to do anything in this old engine. I mean, and people laughed at me saying, "There's no way that they're going to change engines. There's no way they're going to use."
Well,
and I understand they're not going to change engines for H1Z1.
Yes,
but going forward, they cannot be successful and they cannot be competitive sticking with that stupid engine, which everybody's told them and I cheat for it. I mean, technology wise, it doesn't take advantage of any of the new technologies.
DirectX 8
UE4 does. Yeah. They're running DirectX 8 or 9.
Oh, 9.
Yeah,
sorry,
I mean, it's just
9, yeah. But let me just say here, let me cut you off for a second to say I still do agree with I'm not agree with my own point, but I want to reemphasize my point. When we had this argument, a year ago about what should they do with even a year and a half ago about H1Z1, I still agree that they should have stuck with the current engine because it would have set them way too far back I think that would have been bad to switch engines mid-game. So I still disagree with you on that. But obviously I'm agreeing with you now.
I don't think they should change now.
No, but a year and a half ago you were an advocate. But a year and a half ago you were an advocate for that, and I was against that. And so, I still kind of feel.
I think back then they would be farther ahead now, but it would have taken them a year to get here.
They would be. They would be farther ahead now, but I think getting that to go over.
Hindsight's the best sight.
Oh, of course, yeah, exactly.
It's easy to say now.
Monday morning quarterback's the greatest. But no, realistically, they can't release anything else with the Forge Light engine. There's just no point.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that this is their official switch of leaving Forge Light. And this may be, I think it's going to be, they have a lot of games that they kind of just keep running on this old engine technology. DC Online, H1Z1's going to go into their EverQuest stuff, all this stuff that's just sitting there and maintaining. I think they're going to keep that running, and they'll have a reason to keep those people hired, because somehow those are still bringing a little bit of money.
I want to jump in here.
I
want to jump in here. There is a legitimate need for what they are doing. They can be very, very successful being the company that takes over older games and keeps them alive. There is a lot of,
and they are doing that.
And there's a successful practice there, because the people that play those games, I remember when we were talking to our friend Falcon about it. Those enthusiasts, the same way we talk about the people that play Friday the 13th, the enthusiasts will pay any price to play the game, because that's their thing. While Brian and I would laugh at $20 to play EverQuest, or $10 a month to play the original EverQuest, there is a whole bunch of people that say only $10. That's a freaking steal. So there's
because they have a huge community there of people that and relationships and just all those things that are there.
Exactly. And that's my point maintaining. Is let's not we love to kind of sit here and just say, oh, look at, they're keeping all these old games alive. But there's a lot of money in there. And realistically, the work is already done. I mean, you're essentially you are 100% maintaining. You're not developing. So there's a very low amount of money you've got to push into it, obviously outside of staff, to keep a project like that alive, and electricity and internet and servers. So that's a business model that does work. So let's just in general.
Like Dungeons and Dragons Online, that was another company that pretty much transitioned it over, because they don't want to sit there and maintain it forever. And there is a company that will. Yeah. Daybreak will maintain something forever.
And I think that's good. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see, and I don't want to get into this conversation, but it's going to be very interesting to see, 20 years from now. I mean, realistically, you look at the internet, we're talking about 20 years at the earliest that people were really doing power user things on the internet, the late 90s. I mean, I know the internet existed before that, but you're talking 20 years online gaming and stuff like that. Go forward another 20 years, all of these online games that are coming out today are going to be gone without companies like Daybreak that are going to invest the time and the resource into keeping those projects alive. So we can laugh at it now, but 10 years down the road when we go, oh my God, I'd love to play GTA 5 online, or I'd love to play blank online, or this online. You're going to want a company like Daybreak that has said, our goal, our responsibility here is to keep these old projects alive, because one day those users are going to be your baby. Back. Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to be your baby of, that's the game that I love.
Exactly.
Like, if I could just play that again.
It's happening right now. We don't even see it. The games that we are playing right now that we really, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I'm right now, but these games that we're playing right now, 10 years from now, we're going to go, oh my God, I would, and it's going on with the Dreamcast community. We talked about this the other week. And I say all these people, it's a handful that they organize group game nights. They are
look at League of Legends. That'll be one of those where there'll be eventually that company will be like, okay, well, either they're going to close it, or if there's a company out there that will just maintain all those games, that will maintain the servers and have the ability, there's right now tons of people that play that game. Well, you got to think 10 years from now, maybe there won't be life left in the game, but you'll still have a lot of people that be like, I really like that game. I'd like to keep playing it. And it'll be enough to people, pay a little bit of a fee, and they'll continue to be able to play. And that may not happen to that game, but that's an example of right now a game that has a ton of players in the player base. And if they could just transition it over to someone else to keep it going, and that's Daybreak. Daybreak is the kind of company to do that. And so, I think either they're going to realize their place in gaming, and that will be because they'll realize that that's where the money is with the minimal amount of input effort, right? And I think a lot of it will come down to this next title. If they find that they're able to successfully develop a game in Unreal Engine and put out a competitive title, because they have the staff, right? If they find that they can do that, then they may continue putting out new games. But I think if that fails, I think that we may see them transition into the background as, the place where games kind of go into just existing, right? And they make them exist because they have a track record of it. And maybe a company loves their game, but they just can't. It doesn't make economical sense to be able to keep it going. They don't want it to die. That's what they can offer, and I think that would be a legitimate business for Daybreak to go into if this next title doesn't work, because they've really damaged their reputations
I,
with what's been happening with H1Z1 lately.
I think I think even if the next title does work, this is a legitimate. I mean, this is a very important thing for a company or companies to keep alive. It absolutely is.
Well, and they've got their San Diego office, they've got their Austin, Texas office. Seems like a lot of the new staff is all in Austin, Texas for this new game. So they're separated. Like, it's not even in San Diego. So we'll see if they kind of get two different divisions, where one is coming up with new projects, the other one is just doing all this old stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get to that kind of here's the old stuff being maintained. I don't see why they would stick in San Diego personally. I mean, it's the expense of living and existing in San Diego for me is crazy. But for a lot of people, that's just where it's been in the industry. I think that you're seeing people kind of leave and go and be willing to start up studios in more economically feasible places than San Diego, because you can't just exist in San Diego. You have to thrive in San Diego to be able to keep affording living, paying employees double the rate sometimes just to live. Yeah, so we'll see. It's not Austin, Texas, I would assume, has a much lower cost of living.
Well, it does right now, but Austin is a booming market.
But that'll probably change. Yep.
Yeah. So it will most likely change. So that's kind of the but that's kind of what the status of H1Z1 at this point. Now, they did have their tournament.
Yes.
The name of it is escaping me. The Showdown. They had the Showdown. And unfortunately, since I was out of town, I did not have a chance to watch any of it, but I did do some reading, and I actually read this post earlier this morning, Brian, and then reread it on your notes this afternoon, or saw it linked again. Set this one up. This is exactly what you were talking about was going to happen, Brian. So I'm going to I'm going to give the floor to you, because you were right.
All right. So here's someone in Australia that, because of their standing, right, on the leaderboards, was able to compete in this tournament. And somebody went through and did some research. Just like I said, look at the top leaderboards. You're going to have a percentage of cheaters in there. And so someone looked at the person who won the Australian tournament, and they started looking at his past games. And there was just some things that seemed very strange about these accounts, or about his past games that he's been playing. It seems like he is what they call a boosted account. And if you look at his past playing record, he would do like 4v4s, he would do group plays, and almost everybody that he plays with in those games are now all banned. So if you go back to all of his past multiplayer games, the squads that he's done, all the other people that have been in his groups with him have all been banned. And what would happen is he would be in a game where those banned players would get all the kills for their group, and then he would come up and get the last kill, in the game. And so I assume that's what they mean by boosting, is he was actually using friends with cheater accounts to be able to get him through to the game to the end. And, he wasn't cheating, but his friends were. And so those still show that it still shows that he wins the game, all those other accounts, but he wasn't cheating. They're not taking into account the fact that the three people in the group with him, or if it's two man, the other person in the group with him is cheating. This is something where people are really frustrated, because you get that gold AR account or for winning the tournament, you get the golden AR, which is a rare skin. And they're frustrated because like you gave that to a person who's using a boosted account. His match history doesn't look legit. He always ends up killing highest kill players that play. He says he always ends up killing a highest kill player that plays with fresh accounts or is banned. And so this guy broke it down. He shows here's the top two guys, banned player, and then him. And he's got a whole list here of ones for his top two with him and a banned player for his teammate, and then with the four mans on another list. 4 wins with a banned player, 6 wins with a banned player, 8 wins with a banned player, another win with a banned player. And because of those nice statistics that we can see now, you can see those all sitting there, and it's all on record. And you can go and anybody can go look these things up. And these guys just got a couple of pages of games with this guy with banned players. And then also he says here's another matches with played 4 games with this cheater called NWX Oaks. NWX Oaks. And this is the thing is I think this you can't. I mean, it'd be tough for them to prove and say that 100%, but you could definitely look at this track record and say, well, most of the people he's playing with, this is what we ran into too. We would have people that we were playing against, when we were doing Just Survive, where they would have couple legit players surrounded by cheaters. The cheaters would get banned, but Daybreak finally started banning the whole group, everybody who was associated with the cheaters, because they found that everybody knew that they're just going to ban the cheaters, and all these other people could just keep benefiting from these now banned people. But this, are they going to have to start taking account that if you go into 2 mans and all these other accounts that you're playing with are getting banned, that means that you should get banned too? I mean, I think that's what this is leading towards, and that may be what we end up seeing, because he obviously has some skill. I mean, he won the tournament, but should he have legitimately been at that tournament with his play record? And it's possible that maybe he had other accounts that got banned. Maybe he got banned at some point, and so he had to get an account up really quick to be able to compete in this tournament.
Well, I want to note something very interesting, and I don't know if this is coincident. I don't know what's going on here, but so going through this Reddit post, and there'll be a link in the show notes, infectionpodcast.com. This guy posts a link to the myh1z1.com match overview pages. It now just happens to be that my.h1z1.com is currently down for maintenance. I don't know if this is so that they can wipe some of this stuff off there. They've done it in the past. I just find this to be a very interesting. Maybe they just have it down for whatever reason.
It could be.
But it
could be that they. I mean, obviously, this guy was able to see it. They may be looking at, well, now we need to put in a metric that actually looks at your accounts when you're doing not a random, but when you're playing with a person that you've chosen before the game starts that's banned. Are they going to start tracking that and then issuing bans based on that, or removing them from the leaderboards?
Yeah. Now they are doing a game update, but it hasn't, and then it does include server maintenance, but it hasn't happened yet. So reading through this, servers will be coming down for an update with extended maintenance between 2 p.m. tomorrow, which is Tuesday, February, 2 p.m. Pacific, which, well, actually it is 2 p.m. Pacific now. So maybe that's how it has something to do with. But
Starwave says he thinks that they're going to leave early access tomorrow and go to season 1. So we'll see if that happens.
Who knows? But yes, they are doing it. They are doing an extended downtime, and the game will be up approximately 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, the game is likely up. And they're doing a big update. One of the things is there's a couple of things here. We've talked about most of this. Player spawn selection. They've got a cool little GIF here that I'm going to let's see if I can show that. Here's your spawn selecting GIF, which kind of goes through and shows the process of scrolling around and picking where you want to play, which I think is cool. I do kind of like that idea. Rather than just kind of getting dropped in some random area where you can't really do a whole lot.
Putting a little bit of skill into the game. That's the thing, is players and these streamers want it to where skill matters and making the right decisions matter. And up to this point, lately, skill and making the right decisions hasn't been a big part of this game.
Yep.
And I think that they're going to have to start doing that.
Now, part of the other thing, and Brian, this is kind of what you and I've talked about a couple of times. I think we focused on a lot last week or the week before, that they're updating their scoring model. They're moving away from high kill top 10 scoring, which we've talked about. We've documented, and they've documented themselves with these stupid tournaments that it doesn't matter. The score doesn't matter.
Getting kills doesn't add to your score.
Well, it's useless. It doesn't matter. Getting a kill or not getting a kill doesn't matter. So they're moving away from a high kill top 10 scoring model.
What do you mean high kill? What do you mean by high kill top 10 model?
Well, because right now it's just the top 10 highest kills is your thing. You could win first place, not get any kills, and it's not going to show up on the leaderboard.
I didn't think that kills really up until this point made a difference in it, because
they do and they don't. But the way that they were doing,
how far you could reach,
the way they're doing their top 10 games was just however many kills you're getting. That's how they were doing them. So the new model will focus on 3 different things. A user's top 10 games will give them their base score. So your top 10 games will give you a base score. A user's average placement will then have a modifier value applied to the top 10 score. And then a user's average kill per match, that's important, will also have a modifier value as well. So, you can't be going, you can't be getting 10 kills, 10 kills, 10 kills, and then you don't get any kills at all. You're just kind of win every time. That's not going to do you any good here. So they're, again, changing their scoring model. They're making a whole bunch of combat updates to all the different guns. They're doing some stuff with the match rewards. So now this is very interesting. Winning a match of solos, duos, or fives will reward you 1 victory crate. So now they're actually bringing a reward back to the game. If you remember, eons ago,
random.
Well, no, remember, I think forever ago, when you won a King of the Kill, it gave you an airdrop ticket. Is that correct? Isn't that how it used to work?
You would get stuff. Yeah, you would get stuff for winning for a while. And then they seem to have taken that way where then you were just getting random crates while playing games and things like that.
Yep.
So it used to be that you could grind and get stuff, and they kind of took that away.
Now, then they say, depending on the game mode, you can now earn up to 150 skulls for match placement below first place. So that there's going to be a kind of a formula for that. The victory crate contains over 75 brand new skins that are untradeable and unmarketable, but they scrap for the same amounts as you'd pay for them. So they're kind of giving you an incentive to play through the game and actually win the game, because previously there wasn't one. You could argue there was. You could argue there was one. In my opinion, there wasn't really an incentive to win. Kind of like in PUBG, there's not really an incentive to win. Which luckily for them, it's not a problem because the game is actually quite good and it's fun to win. I mean, honest to God, you can look at, if you wear an Apple Watch or something like that, play through PUBG and look at your heart rate. When you're in the final circle with somebody, it will look like you're having a heart attack on your fitness, on your tracker scale, which is incredibly unhealthy. But it's just what it does, because it's you're all into it. It's stressful, nevertheless. They're also working on the account leveling system. So there's a couple of things in here that they're going to be doing as well. And again, this update is ongoing now. It will be done by 9 Eastern tomorrow, 6 Pacific, somewhere in that ballpark. If you're listening to this podcast after the fact, not live, update's most likely already done. So there's a couple of things here. New users will receive a basic set of skins when leveling from 1 to 10. Wink, wink, Fortnite. Kind of taking away from their leveling system that we talked extensively about last week. Existing users already have these skins, so these will be some of the older skins like the trucker hats and the flannel shirts and stuff like that, I would assume. After you reach level 10, you will be awarded victory crates for leveling. Again, wink, wink, Fortnite, literally stealing this right out of Fortnite. Existing user accounts have had their levels reset. If you were at level 100, you will receive a special item within the next few weeks. Experience gain from matches has been normalized, as the drop-off in experience gained isn't as significant until you reach the 75th place and below. So they're resetting everybody's levels, and now you're I mean, they're literally taking this directly out of Fortnite, which is good because it's a good model. It's the tiered model. It gives you an incentive to level up. What is the point of leveling up in H1Z1 right now? The answer is there isn't. It's non-existent. It's a falsado number. It's useless. Why do people level up in Call of Duty? Because you unlock tokens and you get to unlock weapons, or weapons become available at level 36 or 48 or 52, whatever the level may be. There's a reason. There's a grind. There's a reason to continue to play. H1Z1 didn't have it. H1Z1 didn't.
No reward.
H1Z1 didn't have it. Rather, yeah, exactly. The grind with no reward. It was just like, okay, I'm just gonna play and play and play for nothing. So, and then outside of that, there's some gameplay and some UI updates, some bug fixes. We'll go through this stuff next week. When there's probably going to be more finished notes, because there is going to be it says more info coming 6 a.m. February 28th. So next week, when this is out, when it's up and running, we will we'll bring you the rest of the updates. But this is a pretty big update, and as we've been talking about, what can they do going forward? Personally, I don't believe anything that they really can do with King of the Kill at this point is going to save it. Now, what you will see in the next couple of weeks, and just be aware of this for the people that enjoy listening to the current player segment, you will see a spike in the numbers because this is a very big update, and people are now going to try to be unlocking those victory crates, so on and so forth. So you're going to see a boost in the numbers.
You'll see a spike, and then,
but it's not going to last.
They may maintain some of those. They may maintain some of the numbers. I mean, it'll give an uptick if there's something driving people.
So the 17,000 is going to go to 20,000 or 22,000. It's not significant. It's not. And my point is, it's not going to be like, oh, there's 17,000 over the last 30 days to, 80,000 players. That's not going to happen. You may see it go up a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, but in general, I don't see this bringing the game back to life. I don't think there's anything at this point that can bring this game back to life. It's been so long and the horse has been beat so dead that, in my opinion, I think it might be a little too late for that. But nevertheless, that's H1Z1, I believe.
Very good. All right, so let's go. Do you mind if we go into the game giveaway really
quick?
No,
absolutely.
Time?
Yeah, we were about an hour into the program. What do we got?
Right. So if you want to do exclamation point giveaway in chat, I'm going to be giving away a copy of Bully Scholarship Edition, which is, we played GTA last week. It's a little homage to Rockstar. This is a game that has a lot of content. I played it on PS. I think the original PlayStation is what I played this game on, and it was a lot of fun.
PS2, I think.
This is, it was a PS2.
Yeah, because I have it.
I remember I played it, and it's got a ton of content. There's a lot of stuff to it. So if you want to go ahead and put exclamation point giveaway in chat, this is Bully Scholarship Edition, and of course this is for PC. So make sure you enter, and it's going to be, we'll give away in probably like 10 minutes.
Yes.
But if you like, Rockstar, like the thing is it's got tons of voices, acting, and
it's a grade A game, triple A title,
and just stuff it'll keep you busy for weeks if you wanted to sit there and play it, but weeks and weeks. So
yes, and
it still looks good for being in 2008. It still looks very good.
And yeah, absolutely. And you can help support the program as well. We've talked about a couple of ways, brand new ways with our Twitch. We're now part of the Twitch affiliate program, where you can subscribe directly via just a regular monetary subscription, or like everybody, I think in 2018 has an Amazon Prime subscription. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime, which is the same. For you, it's free, but for us, it's the same thing as a regular $4.99 a month donation, $4.99 a month subscription. You can do that. You can donate bits. We've had a couple of those come in throughout the last couple of weeks as we've announced that. But you can also head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com/support. You can shop on Amazon with our affiliate program. You can do a direct donation through PayPal, which people have done in the past. That was a big winner for our pack strip, which we are trying to get our plans kind of wrapped around for that. It's just been crazy here the past couple weeks. And then our Humble Bundle program, where if you're going to buy a game on Steam that's full price, like Tabletop Simulator, $20, buy it on Humble Bundle, use our affiliate program. It's going to cost you the exact same amount of money. It's going to give you the Steam key. The only difference is it's going to help support the program. So if you don't say, hey, I don't really want to give money to the program, which is totally fine. I get it. This is a way that you can help support the program. And as always, people giving Brian games to give away, being in the chat. We've had our good friend PH make pretty much all the graphics you're seeing he's produced, plus some different musical intros. People running the game nights. Saul's been a saint, kind of running the tabletop games. All that stuff really, really helps support the program. So a couple of different ways that you can help support us, not just monetarily. There's a whole bunch of other things, including one that I need some people to get off their asses and host Friday night game of the week on a game that they know very well, that they can kind of walk the group through. We need that for some of these games because Brian and I aren't experts in all these games we talk about. We talk about them, but we don't have the experience to lead a group through them. So if you are, an expert in a game or you play a game a lot, we'd love to have you host it for Game of the Week. That's another way that you can help support the program as well. I'm done with my rant.
And one thing I was going to mention too, Deacon actually donated this game. He donated me about 5 or 6 games.
Perfect.
So we'll be giving those away over the next couple of weeks. So that really helps. Deacon has done that. Green Man's donated. There's been a number of people that have donated games that I've been able to give away, and it really helps. I've got a pretty big list of games to give away, but eventually that will dwindle.
Yeah, eventually.
I think I only have 100 left, so we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, only 50 more episodes.
Subscribing to Humble Bundles.
50 more episodes. We'll I've got a whole bunch I can give to you too. I haven't.
Well, the thing is like I've quit even. I have all these Humble Bundles, and I've quit redeeming them to my Steam account. So even if I don't have them, like I'm just to the point where it doesn't matter anymore. Like
there's no.
I don't need a 2,000 game Steam account. It just doesn't. I'm just not even redeeming them unless I get the urge to play them. So
there you go.
That most likely. So I'll be giving away some games that I don't even have, which is fine with me.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, as Brian was saying, thank you, Deacon. And that's yet another way you can help support the program. We appreciate it. And of course, all the people in chat hanging out and doing their thing, and they're giving us feedback or correcting us when we're wrong. Which we every once in a while. Well, I shouldn't say it happens often that we're this happened at this date, and it's no, it happened 2 months after or whatever. So we appreciate all that stuff as well. Where to
jump into? Let's jump into PUBG really quick.
Yeah, this is a quick one.
Not like a huge change
now,
but they did release a new crate.
This is a little Friday the 13th-y. If you just look at this quickly here, this is what they're calling their spring crate. And you can see it's kind of got the 80s look here. This is the Fever crate and the Militia crate. And these are in the game as of the 22nd, which I believe was last Wednesday. Those are in the games now, and these are their spring crates. They are much different than what's in the game right now. And Brian, I've got to ask you, because you were the one who was gave H1Z1, and I did too, but you specifically, a very, very hard time about having skins that didn't fit the game. And looking at this picture, Brian, they fit. They are. I mean, this girl on the left with a yellow plaid skirt, which kind of, but it's bright yellow, which is a little weird.
I think more the guy's pants, the bright orange striped. I mean, it's like 60s clothing.
Well, it's
right?
70s and 80s. That's what they say. It's inspired by 70s and 80s fashion.
70s. Okay, so it's like 70s and 80s era stuff. And I think that what I look at and what I had issues with H1Z1 is the combinations that then you put together with this. And like, for instance, the circular glasses that you see on the female on the left, those along with like the guy's outfit just to the right of her, you just create those outfits that just look horrible. And you know that that's what people are going to do. They're going to create the most odd looking, scary, stupid outfits possible, because that for some reason that brings people joy.
The trolls, Brian.
And so, yeah. And so I that's more of my concern of like that guy's outfit is the step down, someone creating a stupid crazy outfit. It's going that direction. And we asked him very point blank at PAX about this. Are you going to be visually, what are you going to be doing with clothing? And he said he was going to keep it all realistic and, keep it to where it matched the game. But I think that the ones on the right aren't that bad. I think that you could argue that kind of fits, right? You have your Western theme, but I think the ones on the left, going with these themes, they're just going to keep going farther and farther, and people are just going to then take each extreme piece and make stupid outfits with them. And they won't be able to stop at 100%, but I think that these are poor decisions. Those left two images are poor decisions in the long run.
Now, I agree with you to an extent. If these are the most extreme things that exist in the game, I think I can live with that.
Yeah. I mean, if this is as far as it went, but that's never how these things work.
No, typically not. But her skirt is just too bright. I think that's the problem with it. The jean jacket is fine. Even his pants, I don't think are too crazy because they're dark. If they were hot pink with stripes, I think you'd probably have an issue with that. The skirt is the one that jumps right out. It's too bright in the game. Now, you can make the argument in Myanmar, this actually might not be a bad outfit to wear because everything is kind of a brownish desert thing. So you may make the argument that a yellow like that may actually blend into the environment. But if that's the craziest they're going to go, this outfit on the left which is, I mean, realistically is a t-shirt with a jean jacket and a skirt. If that's the craziest thing that we're going to see, I think we're in a good spot. As long as we're not seeing wrestler outfits, them making up their own wrestling league, just kind of these a gorilla mask with a cigar. I mean, just the stupid stuff that H1Z1 did. I think we're fine. I'm, and part of me, Brian, of course, agrees with you that, they want to keep it authentic. But then the other part is, giving people,
it's a game, it's got to be fun.
Exactly. Giving people the ability to customize what they want to do. Now, I would say right off the bat that the player base in PUBG isn't near as trolly as it is in H1Z1. There is trolling in it, as every internet game there is, but it's not part of the I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's not part of the game. Is the part of H1Z1 is being a troll. That's just it's just burned in. It's ingrained into the game. It's not like that in PUBG.
But if you open the door for them, that's the thing though. Is the second that you open the door? I mean, look at Ice Poseidon. He kind of left the door open a little bit to kind of profit a little bit from trolls. Early in his career. And then it's just,
don't mention him on Twitch. We're gonna get banned. Can't mention him on Twitch.
Okay,
I'm being dead serious. Like,
whoever that guy is.
You can't.
Ice something.
Can't really talk about him. Yeah, the Macho Man.
And so
suit.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
Is something where you leave the door open, and if they leave the door open, like they'll grab it and run with it. That's just how the community works. And so that's my concern is them. Is this the first step down that road of then it becomes more trolly and more trolly, people wearing the stupid outfits. People already run around naked, which whatever. But the second that you start giving them stupid outfits to wear, they will. And that's just their first step into that. And so I'm worried that next is going to be a little bit crazier and a little bit crazier. And then you'll give them enough tools to make these stupid outfits, and then it's just become a troll game, just like H1Z1.
Yeah, I luckily I think part of the reason I think H1Z1 has turned into the troll game is that there was nothing else to do. So the only option left was to dress up, with your as Firebomb saying, your Macho Man suit and run around like a moron. Because what else were you weren't going to play the game because the game sucks. So there was some limited stuff with that. Luckily for PUBG, the game itself is, you could argue, in my opinion, pretty good. So I don't think they'll have that big of an issue. But yeah, that's I personally like the skins. I think they'll add some interesting stuff to the game.
Yeah, and like visual variety, I'm good with. It's just if they can keep them to this. If this is like, when you have the range, if this is at the top of the range, then I have no issue with it. It's just I think we've been tainted a little bit by H1Z1 where, okay, they're always pushing the limits. They're always getting something more stupid that they got to put in there. There's always got to be something to top the next one. I mean, if we start seeing a Kappa crate out of here, then we got issues.
No, absolutely, because that's when you take it and it's no longer serious.
Nope.
And again, I know you can make the argument, it's a video game, get over it, it's stupid. I know, I get it. This game, I think, poses itself as and I'll throw air quotes around, serious game. But this isn't, jackass arcade, run around and do whatever. I mean, this game it requires some skill. It's a lot more serious, and it's just a different player base.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we'll see. I mean, it's unique. This is the 70s, 80s theme. It's just to be interesting to see what other themes, since they're doing themes, what are the themes they start to go for and how far they go out with those. So we'll see that over the next couple of months as they release more and more crates. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever is people can do whatever they want, and he's just going to have to pay the repercussions of whatever decision he makes.
And to be honest with you, Brian, they've got so many freaking players in this game. I don't really think it's going to make a whole hell of a lot of difference anyway. But just the sheer amount of players they have. So we shall see, but we're going to we're going to stay strong on this because as Brian said, did I interview him at PAX or did you interview him at PAX? I think it was me.
You interviewed him.
And I think I asked him on camera. I don't remember if it was on camera or off camera, and the reason we asked is because at Twitch or at PAX East this 2017 rather, is when they had the Twitch parachute in the game, and Brian thought that was the beginning of the end. He was ready to throw in the towel on PUBG then because it was like, oh my God, here we go. The game's brand new, and what do we got? A Twitch flyer. Turns out it was just for the weekend because of PAX East, and they did a thing with Twitch and so on and so forth. But since then, it's been all business, and I would presume it's going to stay like that with a couple little things here and there. As long as they don't get to the Friday the 13th level where it's just they're just the most extreme stupid skins. And for those games, for a game like Friday the 13th, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for PUBG. That's not a dig on Friday the 13th. It is a dig on H1Z1 because those skins don't make any sense. But because they don't work.
Well, like Donnie's in chat, he's mentioning about Arma. That there's a lot of people that are hardcore Arma players because of the realism, and then they enjoy Battlegrounds because it's the closest in this genre that's like Arma, to where you have kind of that realistic, you have the leans, and you have all these different things. So I think that the farther they get away from that, they're going to start losing that player base. I mean, which I'm not saying they're the biggest player base, but they're probably more serious, and they're the ones who want it to look the most real. They don't want the crazy outfits, because if you go into Arma, you see it's all like military. People are trying to look at the role as much as possible, where the people that are trolls, they're trying to look the role as well as much as possible. And if you give them the tools to do it, they will. And so that's my concern, is that you just don't give the trolls the tools to be able to look like trolls in the game, because they will. I mean, we see it in every other game. You give them an ability to do it, they do.
Absolutely. So yeah, there you go. That's good old PUBG. That's the update for the week. We covered their update. I think it was 6 or 7 last week. Was actually a pretty big update for them. So we covered that last week, and then we've got this update about the crates this week. So we'll stay up to date, and we'll bring on that hopefully some more stuff from them next Tuesday.
Very good. All right. Well, do you want to move on to what you call H1Z1, also known as Just Survive?
Yeah. Do you want to do our giveaway here? It's been running for about 10 or 15 minutes.
All right. So let's go ahead and roll this one. So congratulations, Firebomb. Our local F13 fanboy. So you have one copy of Bully. Fangirl. So I sure I'll appreciate that. So yeah, so I'll send you a link here and then you'll be able to redeem that. And that is courtesy of Deacon. So thank you very much, Deacon, for donating that. And congratulations. It's a fun game. If you've never played through it, I would encourage you to sit and I mean once you get into going in the story, it's just like GTA as far as how it hooks you. Like you'll just keep going through the story and it'll tell a long story through the process. So
it's on my shelf back there, my PS2 shelf. It's a great great series, and it's a AAA title. It's a AAA developer, so that you get a AAA product.
We're just not used to those lately.
No, well, and it's odd, right? I mean, we've just totally transitioned away from that stuff. All right, so you foreshadowed a little bit. Well, not really a little bit. You did. The game H1Z1. Now, we've got a February producers letter, so I'm going to ask, where was the January 2018 producers letter? Where was the December 2017 producers letter? What about the November 2017 producers letter? I mean, why all of a sudden is this turn back? When was the last time you read a producers letter, Brian?
I mean, it's been months and months. I don't remember when they last did it. They do them so. That's the thing that we've had issues with Daybreak on for years now. Is just the inconsistency. They say we're going to start doing this. They do it for one month, one time, maybe twice, and then they just stop doing it.
Okay,
so there's no follow through.
I just did a quick. I don't know how accurate this is. I went to justsurvive.com/home/news and I scrolled down a while, and I'm doing a Control F for producer. The last producer's letter I can find was Wednesday, August 30th, 2017. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Maybe
sounds about right. And that's just how they are. Like,
now there may have been some in there that maybe they didn't post to the news page, which if that's the case, then they're stupid because they've got what they call all of their news around here. So yeah, producer's letter in August and producer's letter. When did this come out? Last week, right after last week's show. So that's just frustrating. Going through this, I skimmed through it. What I want action. I mean, it's just all. It's the same as I mean, it's the same garbage we've been hearing for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, does anything on this jump out to you that is amazing? I mean, they're talking about quests and events. They had those in. They talked about putting them in. Then they took them out and went back to their old system. What the hell are they doing? I mean, they're all over the freaking place with this game. What in God's name are these people doing?
That's the thing, is they keep on bouncing around. Just it's like a person who's drowning, right? If you look at a person who's drowning, they're reaching for anything.
They're bobbing, yes.
And the thing is if you're a person who goes out there and tries to save them, the biggest concern is that you're going to sometimes a person has to go and knock the person out that they're trying to save, just so that they don't take them both down at the same time. And I think here, like, they're drowning and they're reaching for anything. Like, what do we do to save this? What do we do to fix this game? But the thing is if you think, let's say you're swimming and you think shore is closest over there. Well, if you're going that way and then you say, no, I think maybe the shore was closest over there. Well, there's a point to where you're going to be going back and forth so much, you're going out of energy and you're going to drown. And if you would just pick a direction and reach shore, you would have lived. And I think they're at a point where they've got to pick a direction. They've got to go that way if they expect this to at least be a playable game at some point, because I would argue that it's not a playable game. And I would argue, and I don't think you disagree, that it hasn't been a playable game for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is just them been going back and forth of, oh, I'm going to swim that way because I think that, there's something over there that's going to save this. Nope. And then they're swimming another, like, there's just no consistency, and they're all over the place that I think that they've been treading water for so long that I don't know what they could do. Like, the market's changed since all this stuff. Like, either they need to go full RPG, or they need to, like, go back to what it was 100%, or they just need to pick one thing and actually do it. And this has been our frustration with them for so long, is that they never do one thing and they never stick to it. Now, there's always, and these producers letters are the perfect example. They came to us and said, we're going to start being more open. We're going to be start more transparent. We're going to start doing producers letters on a regular basis.
And
we're
they
going to do
did.
this. We're going to do that.
But to their credit, they did for a while.
But then they stop.
Yeah.
And there's no reason. They just stopped doing it. The reason that a game like Ark was so successful because they consistently produced for years.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing is they've done it and it's paid off. Daybreak is not produced consistently. I mean, I would say H1Z1 has been one of their probably most consistent things now that they've done. The King of the Kill, now H1Z1. But in Just Survive, they haven't been consistent in that for quite some time. I mean, the game didn't really change that much from the original concept that we played when it released. I mean, if you look at it from up until recently when they tried to redo the whole map, the game wasn't drastically different from the very original test that we did years ago now. It hasn't changed. And there's an issue with that. Like, obviously, they're not aiming for some specific thing. They're not trying to make it some specific thing because it would be different than what you started with if you actually had a goal and you're working towards it. It hasn't. And it's still not. Like, now they're going back to that original. It's still going to just be the same old thing.
Yeah. So you can read through this if you'd like. I'm not going to sit here and bore people reading through this because it's, we're going to, we're account progression, which we've talked about a million times. Quests and events, which Brian has literally been talking about for 2 years now, having some type of event system, re-examining loot and crafting economy. Yeah, it's just boring. I mean, we've heard this a million times. So, and I hate to have this attitude, but we've seen this talked about so many freaking times, and it's been talked about, put on test, removed from test, put on test, removed from test, talked about. It's just so frustrating. It's like, just come up with a damn solution already. But with that, there was actually a game update, and this was on the 21st, which was last Wednesday, right after we wrapped up last week's program, rather. And a couple of the quick things here is they've improved the base construction component system. So the whole goal behind this is it's going to be easier to repair your base if it's been blown up or raided. So with the Stronghold Hammer, you'll have the ability to interact with the components, upgrade them to metal or stone, or purchase skins to do things to the different base components. So that's the goal, is to make it so that if somebody blows off a wall, it's easier to repair than having to delete the foundation and move around, because sometimes it becomes a real pain to do some of that stuff. Weapons and armor tiers have been streamlined, reducing the number of weapons and armor variations available, which I thought was actually something cool that they had in there. The rusted, then you put the weapon repair kits and up the level, so they're streamlining that a little bit. Players can now upgrade their weapons by salvaging gun parts and weapon repair kits to improve the rate of fire, magazine size, recoil, and accuracy of the gun. In addition
to those tiers of weapons that they were starting to put in.
It's absolutely that. And then it says, in addition to salvaging guns, you'll find to improve your weapons, some rare weapons and gun parts can be found by completing quests or killing special zombies. So again, going back to that quest system, and then going through here, there's a new crate here. They're replacing the Survivor's crate with a crate called the Flashback Crate Red. It's a classic mix of your favorite and new items, so some skins and vests and stuff like that, and a free crate. So they're enticing people to log in. If you log in and play for 30 minutes, you'll receive a hideout crate for free. And you can go and take a look at all the stuff that's in the hideout crate. And then there's full notes on there if you want to read through those. But that's a quick little recap of the H1Z1 Just Survive update, which it's pretty disheartening to see all what's going on there.
Yep. And so, I mean, we'll see. I mean, removing things. Like, they removed the pipe bomb, they removed the IED, and they changed the IED to an ethanol bomb.
I mean, it
moved those armor tiers. Like, it's just removing things. Like, you're just taking away some of that grind. Like, why not just make the armor tiers more rare to where it's actually special to have the top level armor? Instead, they're taking out all the lower armor and just having it so everybody has now this nicer armor, which makes it this. What's the difference between that and having just the lowest armor? I mean, it's all one level now, so it doesn't really matter. So all helmets now prevent the same amount of damage, so there's not even a tier with helmets. I mean, none of that. So they removed the weapon cleaning kits. They removed the gray and white gun tiers. So now you find when you get guns and things, they're green, and then I think you can upgrade them to like blue, and to purple. So like you upgrade a green one to a blue one, and then you can keep upgrading it to a purple one. So anyways, and containers, you can only have 20 per foundation now. So I mean that's a lot. It's not like miscreated where a container holds 5 items. But yeah, so if you have a foundation, that's now 20 cap for containers in those. All right. Do you have a preference on what we go to next?
No, sir. Wherever you'd like to lead this train.
All right. So let's do, there's a video here for Elite Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can play that really quick. This is actually a really big update. Yes. And so if you want to just roll into that, and then we will discuss it a little bit.
Yeah. So this is the title on this is called, it's called the Commander Chronicles, and we'll roll the video, and Brian will be back to discuss right after that.
Tarrant, Davis, get these scouts off me.
Roger that, Commander.
I'll handle the interceptor. All right, let's see what you got. That's not great.
Incoming call from router.
Lena, I trust I haven't caught you at a bad time.
Always got time for you, Ramta. Dig up anything interesting lately?
People dig for me these days, Commander. In fact, I might have something interesting for you. Something suited to your unique talents.
Don't have much time for archaeology these days. I'm kind of busy.
Shame. The past can teach us so much about the present. And my research into the Guardians has uncovered some fascinating finds. But it's the potential technological applications that will interest you. Applications that might help you level the field a little.
Like weapons?
Indeed. All I ask is that you unearth a few dusty old relics for me. It will certainly be safer than fighting Thargoids.
Okay, Ram. You've got my attention. If I do it, I can have my pick of your new toys.
That's right.
All right. Count me in.
Oh, I'm delighted to hear it. Now, when I said it wouldn't be dangerous...
All right, so Elite Dangerous Beyond. What
so they're starting into the 3.0s.
Okay.
So this is kind of like the new season in a way that they're starting to do. And in here, one thing they've done is there's a crime and counter crime system overhaul that they've done.
Alrighty.
And so there's actually now more of a punishment for being a lawbreaker, or they're going to be treating to where you're either going to be a good guy or a bad guy more. And so there will be people that are criminals, and then, people that are fighting against those criminals. They've also changed how, let's say your ship gets destroyed, where you spawn back to. They've changed how, like if players are destroyed when a finer bounty has been detected, they will respawn at a detention center now, rather than just respawning normally. They actually are at a detention center, and they have to pay their way to get released. On here, they've added new wing missions that you actually can share across a wing and complete as a group. So if we have multiple people playing, we can have the same quest that we're working together to complete. They have a mission depot now where players can accept an applicable mission and deliver the target commodity piece by piece to complete the mission. So you can go pick up a mission and then keep over time, like adding to it to where it'll eventually pass the mission. And then you actually get a choice on the rewards that you get from the missions now. They added a new alien attack craft. Another ship is the Chieftain. And then they made the Keelback multi-crew. Also, they've made changes to the galaxy map, giving you some options to be able to filter and find things, find trade data. You can view trending trade routes and filter by AI or human players. They've got just prison ships have been added to one of the routes, Colonia. They've gone through and they're adding Galnet audio, which is kind of tell the story a little bit, kind of like the radio. You can sit there and listen and hear some of the lore that's in Elite Dangerous. Installation of megaship interactions, data link scanner upgraded to allow scanning megaships. I mean, if you look, there's just like a huge list on here, and this is one of their big updates, and they're changing to where they're leaving, like Horizon was an expansion. I'm not sure exactly, but they haven't said exactly what they're going to do in the future as far as expansions, whether they're going to be free, if you're going to pay for certain things. But I know one thing that they're working towards is allowing you to walk around your ship, allowing you to walk around on the planets. In this, they did improve the graphics, like the variety of the planets quite a bit, the coloring of the planets to make them look more unique. So as you're flying around the planets that you can land on, you should see an improvement with those. They've added a player journal. Or they've changed some things with the player journal and added more information to it. So you should be able to get more information out of it. Let's see, they've added graphics improvements with like the rendering in the engine. They've changed a lot of the ships, like the Anaconda, the Asp, Cobra. So you should just see a lot of improvements across the board. They haven't put out a patch in a while, but this one has a lot of fixes, a lot of new features. So I would encourage you, if you haven't played in a while, get in there, try some of the, if you have a group of people to play, then go in there and try some of the wing missions, because then you actually have a reason to group up and play together and actually play as a group, which you didn't really have before. So this is a lot of fun for a game. We played it for a while. And I think now that they're starting to get wing missions, it'd be fun to go in there and play with some people and actually do things together, because that's the part that this game really missed. So they did do a live stream talking about a lot of these things, but it's like a 3-hour live stream, and they don't do like a super fast pace. They kind of sit there and talk about things. So if you're into it, you can go check out the live stream. We'll have the show notes in there, or the changelog notes in the show notes. So I encourage you to go in there and just take a look at it. But yeah, this is their big patch that they've been teasing about for a while. And it says on here, this update has well over 1,000 fixes for various issues. So that's there is quite a few fixes in this. So I would encourage you to go and try it out, especially if you had any issues before. See if they fixed those. If not, then definitely report it, because they're hammering away at all those. So I think that's about it. I mean, there's so many notes in here. I'm not going to read through. It's got probably like 10 pages plus.
That's what it looks like.
Notes on here. Quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, that's what
but mainly the mission changes and the crime and punishment thing that they have. Those are some pretty big. They're going to be doing a kill warrant scanner changes and interstellar bounties changes, kind of going with that crime and punishment thing. They're going to be updating that to where maybe your job, they'll have a much more defined role of like a bounty hunter, and then people that are going and robbing people or killing people, you'll be hunting more of those people. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So that's it. So that is Elite Dangerous Beyond 3.0. So, all right. Do we want to do second game giveaway? Or?
Sure, we can do that. We've got probably 15 minutes or so left on the program. So sure.
All right. So once again, this will be ! Giveaway in chat. and this will be another 60 points. I keep upping it. We'll get it to where, because people have 10,000 points and plus. And so we'll have to raise this up eventually. But we're going to be giving away a copy of Max Payne 3. And once again, this is thank you from Deacon for giving this. And this is another game that this is their more recent Max Payne, but I played through the whole story. I used to play it online as well. It's really fun to play online, multiplayer. But it's the Max Payne series is all really good. If you look at, I used to play the original Max Payne, and it's got a crazy story. The people that have played that original, like you'll remember like the crying baby nightmare scene. It's just one of those things that sticks out to you. But the Max Payne series is really good. And so exclamation point giveaway, and we'll give away that here in a little bit. I'll put a link to the Steam page so you can go check it out, see the graphics level, but it's very good graphics.
Yes.
Beautiful game, really good mechanics, good story along the whole thing.
Yep.
So.
And you can go ahead and exclamation point giveaway in the chat to enter for that. Quick update on Unturned. This is Greece update 2 of 3. And the main keynote in here is that Cypress is now available in game. Cypress is what they're calling an expand-alone for Greece that is now available. So it's available in both arena and survival mode, and it builds on the Greece environment while sporting entirely new locations and being a medium-sized map that's less taxing to run. So it's an as they're calling, an expand-alone map.
That's funny. I've never heard that before.
No, and it's a term. It's kind of an interesting term now that they're using it. So with that, the Greece mystery box has been updated to include several new graced weapon skins to celebrate the second stage of Greece updates, and then the third Greece update containing the full suite of NPC content and quests is coming soon. TM. I added the TM, but it's coming soon. Obviously, Cypress has been added the abilities to send rich text formatted messages, which is shocking that they didn't do that before. So you can bold, italicize, color something, put an underline, stroke through it. You can do all that stuff now with rich text, with that format, and then a couple of just generic fixes. And that's this is Unturned update 3.32.5.0, and yeah, there you go. That's our update from our friends over at Unturned.
Very good. All right. So on here, I was going to mention Hurt World came out with some changes. It's just one of those games that you don't really hear people saying they play it. I mean, I'm sure there are people that are playing Hurt World. I don't see them on my Steam list playing it. But on here, they added town event system. So they're trying to come up with, I think, a little more depth in the game. We played it as a group when it was free, I think, for the weekend. I know I have it, but we did play it as a group, and it was fun. But there's just kind of like Rust. Like I didn't see a lot beyond what we were doing in our little area. And then they had a hot fix that they put out as well. Mostly, other than the event system, it's mostly fixes, balancing, things like that. And then the hot fix they put out, and it was just fixing a duping issue. They had a duping bug, which was allowing people to create a bunch of items, and so they fixed that item. They said they didn't do a wipe because they didn't think it was widespread enough, but if you think otherwise, let them know, just to make sure that some servers aren't really out of balance, because everybody has like 1,000 guns sitting around. So that is Hurt World. Another game that we had talked about a little bit was that Hunt Showdown.
Yep.
That they actually have released into early access now. So that is something you can go onto the Steam store. They disabled our test copy. And then you can go there and buy it for $29.99 for the early access. And so we'll have some notes into there. This is from a AAA company, so experience a AAA gunplay experience with realistic weapon handling, true to the time period. This is put out by Crytek, which makes one of the bigger engines. This one, it just goes into detail about the cast, the characters they have in here, the boss targets. We saw each of the games, 2 boss targets. The Spider and the Butcher present a unique challenge. Players will need to think carefully about how to arm themselves, as each boss has its own weaknesses and strengths. those are things like you're going to have to add more. You can't just have 2 bosses for the whole game. So it'll be interesting to see where they grow from this. The game has 3 unique pistols, 3 unique rifles, 4 unique shotguns, 2 unique melee weapons, 3 unique world items, like a sledgehammer, wood axe, and a lantern. And then tools, consumables. So I mean, they've got a lot of stuff in there, but when we played it, I think that it'll get repetitive too quickly unless they come up with some more variations of possibly location, bosses, unless it just turns into a PvP game where you don't really worry about the bosses and you're just trying to kill the other people on the map. I mean, that may be where it turns into.
What do you think of that price tag? Seems a little steep for early access. I know it's Crytek and I know it's a legitimate company, but $30 for there is games that are $30 or $40 for early access. I understand, but what do we think of $30? I mean, it seems like $20 was the early access price point. That's what H1Z1 was, right? $20, $19.99.
But you got to think that I think they're thinking like we're AAA is what they're thinking in their mind of, you know, a lot of these other ones are asking $20. They're startup companies, like they're small groups. I think they're thinking more along the lines of, you know, this game is going to be released. It's not as much of a gamble. It is still a gamble. You got to think if the concept's bad, if it just isn't fun, like there's still a gamble with this.
Well, now let me tell you this.
But it will get released.
If that's the case, then I'm going to challenge you and say, then why are they even doing an early access? I mean, that you can't have
late to the show.
Well, you can't have
everybody's leaving early access, and these guys are going.
Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And this is kind of my concern here: is you want to say, okay, well, we're a AAA company, right? We're not some jerk offs making a video game in our basement. We're a legitimate company. Fine, I can accept that. But then why the hell are you doing an early access program?
Yeah,
spend the damn money in R&D, develop the damn game, and release it.
Well, just like what they did, they could just do an open beta every few weeks. You know, open up the open beta and just let people play, and get some people hooked. Take the feedback. I mean, that would be another option of not letting people purchase into the early access until you know you have a game that's releasable. And if people lose interest during that open beta period, then you know that it wasn't that good of a concept. It was going to die anyways. Like if you can't keep people interested when they only can play it a couple times every week, or every couple weeks, then that's an issue with the game itself. So I think, I don't know. I just don't like that. I'm burnt out on early access. I think you're burnt out on early access as well, because there's so many titles now in my library that are just there's no point to them because they were early access and they're not playable games anymore. Here, I don't think these guys truly understand what the point of early access was. And a lot of it was for these small titles to get a fan base and get money in the door. These guys don't need the money in the door beforehand. And people are more likely to avoid it with early access now than releasing a game that I think if they'd done open beta, they could hook a lot of people that maybe wouldn't buy it. They'll get interested in it, and then when they release, like, people will play it. But I mean, I'm sure they have a reason. Well, I'm not going to buy the early access for it. I mean, I played the open beta, and it's too early on. Like, if they would have offered an open beta with a little bit more of a polish to it, and got me hooked on it to say, oh, this is a lot of fun. But the thing is they did a really rough beta, and now they're in early access saying, okay, now pay for it. Well, no, like, you didn't do a good enough job on the first test that I did. I'm not going to play it right now.
Yeah, and I think that, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way that you want to charge a premium for your early access because you're a development company, yet at the same vein you're using the marketing or selling method that the indie companies that can't afford to do what you do are using. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way, I guess. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just, choose. Make a choice. What are you? Or you can't be both. You can't be the early. Look at us, we're doing early access.
If it's this price in early access, how much is the
$60
release game going to be?
It's gonna be
content. Like a $60 game has a lot of content to it. Like Call of Duty has a huge first player or like single player aspect to it. Then it has all the multiplayer. Then it has the zombie mode, which has a huge amount of content to it. Even like this one, the whole hunt thing is less than the zombie mode in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
As far as content, way less.
Well,
they're offering it as a final product.
They're gonna have to figure something out. I mean, at some point they'll figure something out. So.
Yep. So we'll see. I mean, the game may develop over time and become something that's worth it, but right now it's not.
Absolutely. Well, we're at an interesting moment here, Brian. We have, I believe, completed all of our show notes, which is something that very rarely happens during this wonderful program.
Well, we didn't talk about one thing.
Okay.
We did skip over the Darwin project.
Oh, okay, yes. Let's cover that real quick.
Mention.
Yeah.
So they put out their 1.7, and they had that open beta that hopefully some people got a chance to play it a little bit. But they went through and they've just been polishing the spectator interactions. Like as far as the spectator has a big role to play in this game, and that's why I keep saying I think that Twitch streamers are really going to kind of attach to this because they're putting a high integration with Twitch. So you can get some of these top streamers that people are interested in their personality, so they can still be on the stream and talking, not just necessarily playing a game, but they can be the live streaming show director. And then they're opening it up to where this Twitch spectators have the ability to then vote at the end, like who was the best player, what zones are going to be affected, different things elements that are going to change in that unique map or that unique particular game. People in this Twitch channel can actually vote on that and say, all right, well, we want this zone to close. We want, this weapon to be dropped. We want all these things to happen. They're allowing the Twitch viewers to make these votes during the live stream, which I have not seen anyone else do. They implemented a anti-cheat system, which is, I'm glad they got it in there because the second they open this up, someone's going to be making a cheat for it. Also, they're opening up for private matches to allow you have groups. If you want to just play with your friends, you can put a password on the room that we don't have random people coming in. They do have, so if you're a Twitch broadcaster, they do have an extension made. So it's the Darwin Project Spectator Interactions extension. You can do that and it'll allow you to attach it to your channel so people can click on the screen when they're watching your show and be able to do those. And then they just made some changes to the show director. So they do have a code of conduct on the loading screen for the show directors. They actually can have show director ratings from players. So the show directors themselves will get rated. So possibly that will create some more popular Twitch streamers just from people that do the job really well. If you have a low show director rating, you actually get fewer powers in the game. And then the show director ratings you can get from the Twitch viewers as well. And then they have a report system that they put in there. Other than that, they have a new game mode, the private match, but then there's just a number of fixes. The Twitch extension, I'll just run through what that does really quick. It allows show directors to let their viewers vote for the following: crowd favorite, warm up, heal, so you can heal a player, speed up a player, invincibility, manhunt, zone closing, and then nuke. You can nuke a whole zone.
Nice.
On here. So I'm sure they'll continue to add to that. But this is kind of a unique niche that you haven't really seen. They did some makeovers to the map. So they did make the map look a little bit better. Added some new music and things like that. Did a lot of bug fixes on here. So this is this is Darwin Project. We talked about this at PAX. We discovered them at PAX practically. And they did their open beta this past week. Hopefully people got a chance to play. They should have been able to, when they played, I think it was on this patch. So they should have had access to all this. So hopefully they'll do another one and maybe we could stream it and have people play and just kind of have a fun time. You were gone, and so we didn't really get to do anything with this, but it might be fun next time they do one. We could get everybody involved and actually do something interesting with it.
I would agree. We definitely need to jump in there. It was unfortunate timing on my behalf, but stuff happens.
Yep.
All right.
Very good. All right. One thing, remember, League of Legends for Game of the Week. So to make sure that you get it downloaded, it is a big download. It's an external launcher. So make sure that you get it launched and try playing a couple rounds. They have a training mode they can do against bots and things like that. So make sure you do a few of those just so you understand how the game works, so that you're not sitting there doing all the wrong things. You'll discover what those wrong things are, but you just kind of learn how to go down the lane, how to deal with some of the mobs, things like that. So
absolutely.
Legends.
Yes. And of course, we've got our favorite segment that we cover here on the program, and that is
fan favorite.
It's a fan favorite. Current players. Now for H1Z1, quick note, of course, the current players is not available. The game is offline. So it said there was like 200 people playing. I guess those people had well, there's no launcher anymore, right? I guess people just had the game open still. So nobody's currently playing the game because they're doing their massive update. But the 24-hour peak is 8,059. The 7-day peak is 10,077 for that. Moving on to Ark Survival Evolved, 36,024 currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 52,648, with a 7-day peak of 71,470. Moving on to Unturned, we talked a little bit about that today. Currently playing that game, 8,115. The 24-hour peak, 17,007. That's 24-hour. 22,958 is your 7-day peak. And wrapping it up with everybody's favorite, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Currently playing this, over 500,000, 559,421. The 24-hour peak, 2,712,416. And the 7-day peak, couple 100,000 shy of 3 million, 2,750,196. So that's what's going on. That's what people are currently playing. And I'm gonna keep my tally going on King of the or on H1Z1 coming forward, and we're really gonna pay very close attention to what this uptick looks like and how long it takes for it to level back out to its similar numbers that we've seen over the past couple months. So that'll be interesting to see.
Very good. Yep. All right, so let's go and roll into tip of the week. Tip of the week's where either I talk about a general gaming tip or specific for one game. This week it's going to be PUBG. So this is tip of the week. All right, so I figured I would just give a little tip here for helping to measure the distance when you're trying to do a long distance shot. So you have the ability on the weapons in PUBG to be able to do what they call zeroing in on the different scoped guns. And on there, all that's doing is changing where that center mark is accurate at. So if you want that to be accurate at 100 yards, you can change it, and at 100 yards, that'll be exactly centered. You can change it 200, 300 to let you flip through those in the game. So let's imagine that you found yourself posted up outside of Pachinki or something like that. And you're trying to figure out, well, how far of a distance is it where I'm at versus, that building in Pachinki. So first thing you could do is, if you look at your mini map, you'll see some little squares on there. And each of those are 100 meters. And so you may see that on your mini map, if you can see the object and you can kind of measure the distance between that initial square where you're at and how many squares are away, that's a 100-meter distance. Well, let's say that they're beyond that. Your mini map goes to 200 meters max. So if you open up the full map, you'll see that there's the bigger yellow ones, which are 1,000 meters each. And then inside of those are 100-meter squares. And so if let's say you post yourself up and you're preparing, just look at you on there versus how many blocks away that each of those, that building that you're most likely thinking someone's going to be at, that is how many hundreds of meters it is away. So you can change your zero in to that point, and it will that will help you to know exactly what the distance is. That's why they have those 100-meter blocks on there, and that'll allow you to get an accurate shot without having to raise the sight however much above the above the target and guess it, you can zero it in and then just fires directly on the person or raise it up a slight amount depending on where they move. So that is tip of the week.
All righty, and thank you very much for that, Brian.
Yep, thank you very much.
All right, well, I believe that's going to do it. Of course, we're going to be playing some League of Legends Friday night. Saturday night, we're going to play some board games. Saul's going to lead us. He says he's got a couple new games that he wants us to try out, so we will go ahead and do that Saturday night and probably into Sunday as well. So I believe that'll do it, and then we'll be back here next Tuesday at 7, as we are each and every week.
Very good. All right, so let's go and do the last game giveaway here really quick.
Okay.
All right, so 360 Gaming Live, congratulations. And so I will send you a link in chat. Of course, make sure if you're going to join us, as I said, for our Friday night game night, join us in Discord. If you're not a member of just Discord already, maybe League of Legends is your game.
Maybe.
You're like, oh, I love that game. I want to play with them. So if so, make sure you click the link to our Discord, which is on our website. On the right-hand side, there's a little green button. As Toss Up did in chat, you can put ! Discord inside of our Twitch channel, and that will show you a link directly to our Discord and let you join that. But there's people in there. Usually we got 50, 60, 70 people that are in there at all times. So if you're looking for a nice, healthy gaming community and you play some of these games that we discuss, we got a number of private servers in there. If you're interested in playing Rust, Ark, we have a Minecraft server, and we have Aberrations for Ark, and we have a Ragnarok server for Ark. So if you're interested in playing any of those games, you can go on there and play on some of our servers, and we have links to those inside of Discord so that you can join those at any time. So are we ready to roll out? Should I give my contact information? You ready?
I mean, go for it. I'm paying attention, so whenever you're
all right,
ready.
Cool. At Boise Computer on Twitter. If you want to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. That's, of course, BITE of tech.com. And as I said, just go join our Discord if you're looking to contact us. If you want to send us a message, we have a contact form on our website, or contact at infectionpodcast.com. Or, of course, people send messages to Nick and I on Steam. Usually that's more difficult, but I would encourage you, if you're looking to get a message to both of us, to send it to our email or through the contact form on the website. So thank you very much for those that submitted news this week in the news channel on our Discord. And I think that's it for me. We'll see you guys all next week.
Yep, and just kind of
hopefully we'll get some good games in this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure we will. And just to kind of piggyback on Brian's point there, if you want to send something that you believe both Brian and I need to be in the loop about, send it to contact@infectionpodcast or tweet it to us.
Yeah.
Contrary to belief, Brian and I really don't talk at all during the week. We message back and forth, but we try not to talk, because when we talk, we end up doing a podcast for nobody. Like, it's a Skype call or a phone call. Like, oh, great. But the NSA is listening to it. I mean, they're enjoying the podcast, but nobody else is. So we really, honest to God, we really don't talk. I mean, we'll message. We talk in Discord, but we very rarely talk more than once or twice outside of the program. Except for, like, when we're playing games and stuff on Friday or Saturday night. But outside of that, we really don't talk because it kind of pulls away from the show. So, yeah. Go ahead and send it to contact@infectionpodcast.com if you want us both to see it. If it's a game giveaway thing, whatever, send it to Brian. If it's more of a technical thing, stuff going on with the show or whatever, Discord, you can send that to me or whatever. But yeah, we both need to see it. Send it to the proper channels. Brian, thank you very much. We will see you. I'll see you Friday night, Saturday night, and back here next Tuesday for another episode of Infection. Ladies and gentlemen, that, as I get my audio all configured for the outro here, that is going to do it for another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.